going to have a discussion regarding cataract surgery for patients. Welcome Dr. Cyres Mehta on this podcast.
What you do the other 16 hours of the day, you have to sleep 8 hours a day, you sleep 7 hours a day, and what you do the other 16 or 17 hours a day will define you. So I don't believe in wasting time. So effective time management is very important if you want to be successful. If the patient is a younger adult who wants to drive his car fast, I would not implant a trifocal. I'll go with a EDOF lens.
Currently being a capital of diabetes in India.
Tell you is that alcohol is toxic for the body anyway. And to have 2 drinks, your heart will be better. I think it's all humbug and good marketing.
We were talking about hydrophilics and hydrophobics. Sir, what are the drawbacks of the material?
Today, the modern hydrophilic lenses don't have any drawback.
Welcome to DocPod. In today's episode of DocPod, we have invited Dr. Cyres Mehta, who is Managing Director for Dr. Cyres Mehta International Eye Center. He has received a lot of international and domestic awards. He is one of the Indians who has been editor for Eurotimes, which is a magazine related to ophthalmology. In today's episode, we are going to talk about EDOF lenses and other intraocular lenses which are there in the market. And then we are going to have a discussion regarding hydrophobic lenses and hydrophilic lenses. After that, there will be a discussion regarding copolymer intraocular lens material, which is being a recent advancement in intraocular lens. We are also going to talk about his journey as well. So let's welcome him. Welcome Dr. Cyres Mehta on this podcast. First of all, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Today we are going to talk about your journey. Then we will going to have a discussion regarding cataract surgery for patients. Then we will have some discussions regarding intraocular lenses for ophthalmologists. So sir, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. And I would really like to start with your journey. Sir, what's your inspiration behind becoming an ophthalmologist?
So my dad is a very famous eye surgeon of India and one of the pioneers of eye surgery, modern cataract surgery, phacoemulsification and lens implantation in India. So I think it's like a natural progression. I was always very inspired by him, and he's done a lot of great work, a lot of pioneering work in this country. So looking at him growing up, I said, Cyrus, you can do this.
So sir, you said ki you started as an ophthalmologist with the inspiration of your father. Sir, how is your time spent with Dr. K.K. Mehta sir? He's Padma Shri, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. So, when dad was awarded the Padma Shri by President of India, Pratibha Patil, you are allowed to take 2 people along with you to Rashtrapati Bhavan. One was my mom and one was me. So we landed up there, and they take you in this big Darbar hall. And on the same day, Sachin Tendulkar was getting an award, and so was Ratan Tata, Lata Mangeshkar, Rajdeep Sardesai, and other very famous Indians. So I was very proud to be there that day. And working for my dad was a great learning experience. It wasn't very easy, I'll tell you that, because working for a very accomplished surgeon and a pioneer is never easy. They expect very high standards, and they expect that you're going to match up to them, which sometimes you can't. So when I finished my post-graduation in ophthalmology, I decided I'll come back and work for my dad for a few years before I branch out on my own and try to carve my own niche. Because if you start out while you're half trained, you will always be half good. So I believe that it's always good to work under a master. And surgery is a learned skill, just like carpentry or shooting. So if you don't learn under an established master, you will never learn the tricks of the trade. Which is why you can't learn surgery from a textbook. You can't read the book or see a YouTube video and start doing surgery, which a lot of kids try to do today. You have to work under a master who will observe you, correct you, and you have to see what they are doing step for step and try to copy it.
So sir, it is important to have a mentor in your life. That's what you have like glimpsed it ki you should have a mentor in your life. In a surgical profession, it is much more important.
I've had many mentors, in fact. When I went abroad, I was mentored by Howard Fine, who was president of the American Society of Cataract Surgeons. I stayed with him for a while, saw how he lived and worked, and learned a lot from him as well. So it's been a great advantage being the son of a famous father that he could send me to different famous surgeons around the world to see what they are doing. So you get a very global perspective and you know what people are doing abroad. Otherwise, you're trapped in your own bubble here and you always think that what I'm doing is right, hum sabse achhe hain and stuff like that, which is always good to have pride in what you do. But it's always good to see what other people are doing as well and learn from them.
Sir, apart from ophthalmology, you have many interests. Sir, what are those?
See, I'll tell you, many doctors don't have the time or the inclination to do different things. But I'm a great fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And one day they had a very nice video, and he said, what you do the other 16 hours of the day, you have to sleep 8 hours a day, you sleep 7 hours a day, and what you do the other 16 or 17 hours a day will define you. So I don't believe in wasting time, and you won't see me lounging around at home doing nothing. So either I'll be cycling, or I'll be shooting, which is one of my passions, or then I'll be working. Because my main job and how I pay the bills is ophthalmology, but I do a lot of other things as well. To keep myself interested, I like to train, I like to work out. I've been a recreational bodybuilder for 40 years, ever since I was in the 7th grade. If you read my book, I've written about that.
Sir, recently, sir, you have cycled that Ironman which happened in Goa. So it is a very tough job, like to cycle around 70 kilometers.
See, Satyam, I've been cycling for a number of years together. Cycling is a great way to keep fit. And I've cycled from Bombay to Khandala as well, which includes a rather hard ghat climb. So when the Ironman came to Goa, I used to always watch my friends perform the whole Ironman. And I always thought I'll do it one day. However, I don't like getting into cold water in the morning and being stung by jellyfish, which happens very regularly when you swim an Ironman lap. And I don't like running in the sun either. So only cycling was left. So I trained for about 3 to 4 months and I signed up for it. And there's no such thing as tough or not tough. It's either trained or untrained. If you train for it, everything becomes easy and it's all doable.
Yeah.
Remember, there's 1,200 other people also doing it. Can't really be that tough. It's not like climbing Mount Everest that you're one of 50 people that year. There are thousands of people who do this. And yeah, it's hard because you're 53 years old and you have to finish it in a prescribed time. You can't just go on cycling all day and hope to finish 90K. So you have to go at a certain speed. It's always fun to do an activity like this, and especially I had friends along. So it's even more fun then. So it was a great experience, and I always wanted that tag of Ironman. So I can't say that, I cycled 90K. Well, who cares? Yeah, the people cycling 90 or 100K every day. But how many of them are Ironman?
So even you had a gold medal in shooting as well.
So ever since I was in the 3rd grade or 2nd grade, I've been shooting an air rifle. So I built up those skills very early on. And you know that if you learn to play the piano as a kid, you'll be better at it as an adult. Or if you learn to cycle as a child competitively, you'll be a good cyclist even when you're old. And the same goes with shooting. So I've been shooting professionally for about 2 years now. And I've had a good time with that. I had a good coach in Mumbai. And I learned from a lot of experienced shooters. So I'm a pistol shooter. So I basically shoot 2 events. One is with a 2-2 round, which is like a rifle round called 22 long rifle. And the other one is the 32, which is a .32 bullet. So I've won gold medals in .32 because I guess the event's a little easier. And it always helps when things are a little easier. And so I won a gold in the India Open in Goa a few months ago. And also gold in the Captain Ezekiel Maharashtra State Shooting Competition this year. And I've qualified to shoot the nationals. That's going to be end of December. Let's see how that goes.
So, sir, you are an ophthalmologist. You have to do your OPDs. Then you have to go to OTs. Then you are managing time for shooting as well. Then you are doing cycling as well. Sir, it's my personal question. Sir, how do you manage all this?
So effective time management is very important if you want to be successful. Nobody is going to become successful working 2 hours a day. So if you want to cycle 2 or 3 times a week, you got to get up early in the morning, because in any case, if you go cycling late, you'll get run over on the roads. I also have an indoor trainer, which is like an indoor exercise bike. So when it's raining outside, or it's too hot, or it's too cold, or you just don't want to get out on the road, you can do your 1 or 2 hours of cycling indoors. Shooting, I go once or twice a week, and there are certain shooting drills that you can do at home by yourself without going to the range. And great many people don't understand that shooting is not a sport that you have to stand all day in the range and do. You can shoot at home, because most of the training is basically taking a gun and holding it steady. There doesn't have to be a bullet in the gun. You don't have to fire that gun, but as long as you can hold that gun steady and squeeze the trigger slowly, it makes no difference whether the gun's loaded or not. The shot will still hit the target where it's intended to.
So, sir, if someone is going for a cataract surgery, sir, we know there are different kind of lenses like monofocals, bifocals, trifocals. But in recent years, there is one buzzword or there is one new technology which is EDOFs. Sir, why this concept is getting popular?
पहले तो trifocals were very popular because patient could see far, intermediate and near. Problem with trifocal lens is that in certain patients, especially, they are very bothered by glare and halos at night. Because part of the trifocal lens technology depends on splitting light using rings on the lens. So they are going to create this glare effect or halo effect. Many people are not bothered by it. उनको कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. But some people are. So the companies decided to give some kind of a middle path, which is a EDOF, or extended depth of focus lens. In this technology, there is no clear demarcation between the rings or zones, and the shape of the lens is modified in such a way that patient will be able to see far and intermediate, which is at arm's length like this, but not so much for near. So for near, they may still require a small reading addition. But remember today, what percentage of the population is actually sitting to read at 10 or 12 inches? Very few. Everybody's on their iPad, phone or laptop. So most of the time they're spectacle free when you implant a EDOF lens. EDOF has no glare and no halos at night. You can drive very well at night. So overall, I would say patients are more comfortable with an EDOF today than a trifocal. Once again, I'll have to reiterate that if I have a patient who is a 75 or 80-year-old who doesn't want to drive anymore or drive at night and is most happy to read his book at the distance of 12 inches, I will still prefer a trifocal lens. If the patient is a younger adult and is 50, 55 years old, wants to drive his car fast on the Gurgaon expressway and he wants to drive from Bombay to Pune once in few days at night, I would not implant a trifocal. I'll go with a EDOF lens. Because now and then he can still wear a little bit of reading addition to see, but he doesn't want his night vision hampered in any way. And this is the important differentiating factor.
Okay.
This
So,
is
sir,
the important differentiating factor.
So, sir, as you said, ki like trifocals are providing distance, intermediate, and near vision. Sir, and EDOFs are distance and intermediate. Sir, what is a distance vision or an intermediate vision or a near vision?
Distance vision is the vision by which you can see distance. So when I'm looking at you, you're about 6 or 7 feet away from me, and that so is that camera. So this would be part of the distance vision. So anything over 2 to 3 meters we take as distance vision. Intermediate is basically arm's length. 60 to 80 centimeters is intermediate vision. So when you look at your laptop screen, that's intermediate vision. When you're driving your car or riding your bike and you're looking at the instrument cluster, that's intermediate vision. Because your face is not 12 inches away from it. But reading distance by convention is about 12 to 14 inches. Because nobody reads a book like this or like this. People are going to read a book with a certain bend in the elbow, so it comes to about 12 inches.
Okay.
12 to 14 inches is the standard reading distance, unless you're a very, very tall guy and you're 6.5 feet tall, then your reading distance will be a little more because your arms will be longer.
So, sir, as some of the patients have this question, ki if I have suppose they are having a trifocal lens in one eye, do they need same lens in the other eye, or we can put a EDOF or a bifocal lens or a monofocal lens in the other eye?
Many times patients come to me and say that we've been implanted with a trifocal lens and we are just not happy. Now, there are two parts to this. First of all, most of the time when I implant a trifocal lens, I implant both of them together. So the person will adapt to having a trifocal lens in both the eyes at the same time. Then he will usually not have any problems. However, if the patient has had it implanted in one eye and now is just not happy, they are getting glare at night, they don't like the idea, I would either counsel them and implant a trifocal in the other eye and wait for them to adapt to the technology or get used to it, or I would remove the trifocal lens and then put in a EDOF.
Oh.
I would not do what is called mix and match, which became very popular a few years ago, where you would put a trifocal lens in one eye and an EDOF in the other eye, or try to change the focal point of the eye by putting a distance dominant trifocal in one eye and a near dominant trifocal in the other. I don't believe all this works. I would just remove the trifocal lens if the patient was unhappy and put in a monofocal lens. Or put the same trifocal lens in the other eye, the same brand, the same design, everything.
So, sir, if someone like we are currently being a capital of diabetes in India. So, sir, if a patient is having a diabetes, sir, which is the best possible outcome for the patient with the lens?
So when a patient comes to me with diabetes, it's very important to judge at what stage is the diabetes. If you look at this patient and you understand the diabetes is very, very well controlled, and there won't be any diabetic damage in the eye for the foreseeable future. For 10, 20, 30 years, this eye will be normal. You can put a trifocal lens or a EDOF lens. But if the patient has poorly controlled diabetes, he already has diabetic changes in the retina, I would only put a monofocal lens for this patient. There's a reason for this. An EDOF lens or a trifocal lens splits light to a certain extent and doesn't give one focal point. So some of the light energy is going for far, some of the light energy is going for near or intermediate in a EDOF lens. So the patient will not see as well for far or near as he would have done with a monofocal lens. Because their contrast will become less. What is contrast is the ability of the patient to distinguish between light and dark. So when a person goes out of his house at 6 in the evening, it's neither light and it's neither dark. It's kind of twilight. At that time, if you put in a trifocal lens, this patient is always going to see little less than a monofocal lens. Because the monofocal lens will put all the light at one focus.
If I get a lens implanted, what will be the expiry date of that lens?
So lenses that are implanted in the eye are made of a material called acrylic. If they are water-liking acrylic, what is called hydrophilic, with the material has high water content, it's called a hydrophilic lens, and it's a hydrophilic acrylic. And if it is repelling water, it has less water content, not no water content, but less water content. It is called hydrophobic. So all the lenses today are either hydrophilic or hydrophobic acrylic material. This material, a good material, should outlast the patient.
Okay, so
It's like a Toyota, that eventually the owner will expire, but the car will still be running. So these lenses never go bad. So I implant this lens in a person who's 50 or 60 years old. Even if they live to 100, this lens is never going to expire. So it is not like a bottle of tomato ketchup that you have to eat it by September 2025, otherwise it will go bad. It's an inert material which is developed over years of research, so it never goes bad.
as you were talking about hydrophilics and hydrophobics, sir, what are the drawbacks of the material in the hydrophilics or the hydrophobics?
See, today the modern hydrophilic lenses don't have any drawback. The hydrophilic lenses that were there 25 years ago sometimes accumulated calcium in the material and they became opaque. So lens सफेद हो गया, patient would say कि cataract वापस आ गया है. This was really rare. Today we don't see this anymore, and the foreign companies that make hydrophilic lenses, they make excellent hydrophilic lenses, and even our local companies in India are making excellent lenses because we use the same raw material and the same manufacturing process. Few years ago, hydrophobic lenses became very popular because a lot of people felt that in the eye, posterior capsule opacification occurred less often with hydrophobic lens. And what is this posterior capsule opacity? After we implant a lens in the eye grows a layer of cells behind the lens in an attempt to coat it. And the hydrophobic lenses would grow this less often and less dense. Today, what I find is that there's really not much difference between the hydrophobic or the hydrophilic lens with regards to posterior capsule opacification, and even the modern hydrophilic lenses are very good. Having said so, I feel the world is moved towards hydrophobic lenses, and most of the companies abroad and in India are selling more hydrophobic lenses than hydrophilic lenses. So right now, I think hydrophobic is winning.
Hydrophobic is winning. So there is one more kind of a material which is hybrid or a copolymer material.
So these hybrid materials are basically hydrophilic inside and coated with a hydrophobic coating. So it gives the advantage of a hydrophilic lens, which is very soft to inject into the eye. So it goes in the eye very easily through a small opening, but the surface coating is hydrophobic. It repels water and dissuades the cells from growing on the back surface of the lens.
So, sir, like many companies are adopting this kind of a material. So, sir, is it going to be a future in this material technology?
We'll have to see. For any medical device, you have to wait a few years to see how well it's performed. Once it's implanted in hundreds of thousands of people, over time we have a fair idea of how the material behaves in the eye, how the eye responds to the material. So many times companies come out with new inventions which they claim to will be the next sliced bread and will be useful for everyone, and sometimes they don't. So we have to always wait and watch. Right now, I still think hydrophobic lenses are winning.
Sir, there is a study which shows that if you are having a diabetes, you are progressing, your cataract progression is fast. Is it true?
It's absolutely correct. Diabetes affects the eye in many sectors, and one of them is early formation of cataract. Diabetes affects the intraocular milieu, or the way the internal part of the eye functions and works. And cataract is very easily caused by water flowing into the human lens, which occurs in diabetes. So diabetics develop cataract much faster than non-diabetics. You are absolutely right.
So, sir, there is one more research which shows that if we are decreasing the alcohol consumption, we are slowing down the progression of a cataract.
I personally haven't read that research, but what I can tell you is that alcohol is toxic for the body anyway. And alcohol companies for 50 years have lobbied governments to say that, there's a safe limit of alcohol. Alcohol is good for you. If you have 2 drinks, your heart will be better. I think it's all humbug and good marketing. The safe limit of alcohol is 0.
So, sir, when it comes to diet, which is a pressing concern, like we, especially in our generation, or we are not focusing on diet that much. Sir, how diet plays a role in the cataract progression?
I think diet would probably play a secondary role in cataract progression. For example, if your diet is totally haywire and you are obese and you induce type 2 diabetes, then of course that will lead to cataract. But will eating carrots every day prevent cataract coming? No, they won't. There's no such long-term research to show any of these claims as being valid. Every day somebody makes a new claim, but these are not really scientifically valid. They're just one person's opinion. So I don't think that whether you eat moong dal or you have methi powder or you have only one piece of chicken and no red meat, your cataract is not going to develop. I don't really personally think any of these claims that people make are valid. But certainly if you're diabetic, you must control your diet, because the diabetes going up and the blood sugar going up in the blood will cause cataract for sure.
So, sir, there is one more claim कि ड्रॉप से भी कैटरैक्ट सही हो जाता है.
It's only a claim. It has absolutely no scientific evidence. And every few years, somebody comes out with a new invention claiming that this drop will prevent cataract or this drop will make the cataract melt and go away. We are yet to actually see a medicine like this that works. Maybe 10 or 20 or 30 years in the future, this will be reality and cataract surgery may become a thing of the past, but not today. Today, there is no medicine or eye drop that can reverse cataract.
So, sir, there is a buzz in a there is a drop, which is they have reduced the pilocarpine and they can prevent that presbyopia. They can cure that presbyopia.
So pilocarpine is not a new eye drop. Many years before our grandfathers were born, pilocarpine was invented in the late 18th century. And pilocarpine, all it does is it narrows the pupil. जो आँख की पुतली है उसको छोटा करता है. So effectively your depth of focus increases. You know that in a camera also, if you make the aperture small, your focus increases. So by effectively making the pupil a little smaller, early presbyope, so people who are 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, who would otherwise need maybe a +1 to read something small, may not require. But no late presbyope or no person who is 50 years old can prevent himself from wearing reading glasses by putting pilocarpine eye drops. All these claims have been rubbished multiple times. And yes, it has a role in early presbyopia. But pilocarpine, like any other drug, also has side effects. It can cause ciliary spasm and other effects in the eye. And pilocarpine can also cause cataract formation.
Oh. So, sir, I would like to conclude this podcast. Like, it is a concern, or you can say, like, I want to bring ophthalmic community together. Sir, how can manufacturers and doctors collaborate to bring out innovations in India as well?
Manufacturers and doctors are currently collaborating to bring out innovations in India. Lots of good, valid eye research is going on in Mumbai, in Bangalore, in Chennai, and other metros, where large hospitals and research labs are collaborating with large multinationals and doing research in India to bring new eye drops, new injections, new types of intraocular lenses, new generation of laser vision correction technology. All this is being tested in India as we speak.
Sir, thank you so much. It was my honor to have a conversation with you.
I had a great time chatting with you today, Satyam.
Thank you so much, sir.